Sit down so I can hear Mom.
Of one of our first version of the EAA Shooting Star. While the Shooting Star had a short life as a combat aircraft or a dogfight aircraft, it did have a very long life when they stretched it 38.5 inches, added another cockpit, and made it a trainer. 3 of our aircraft taking off today are from that era.
Now you're still in the country. No guys allowed.
And we were to find out by captured German data that in fact the wing aircraft would be superior in speed. So look behind you as you the jet aircraft from the post-World War II era and the trainer aircraft and the Red Star aircraft, by the way, those L-39. At last count, they were so popular, they were about 257. Exclusively, but their time was going to come. When we got into the Korean War, it was going to be almost, I said almost, a jet war. Because in fact, against the enemy's MiG-15 swept-wing fighters, we did have an American pilot shoot down one of the jets in a P-51 piston-powered aircraft. A Corsair shot down an enemy jet aircraft in a air-to-air dogfight, and the British, with their Hawker Sea Fury, did in fact shoot down the jet MiG. However, they were few and far between. The speed of the jet was just too far superior. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at
To the right, look to the right.
an enemy base, and we are under attack by the Allies. differs from an F-86 by the size of the intake nozzle. equipment design, they would be gone. They would be out of later today by our bombers as they come in. The other side of the airport will be obliterated by raw flames and then black smoke.
Alright, go sit with mommy.
Okay. Now it's a limited life that had a very extensive life. In fact, throughout the course of the years, they were destined to be shut down and sent into service. Extended for one reason, whether it was the U.S. or Canada, it was already had. Canadians tried to retire it about 3 times. They call theirs a CT-133 Shooting Star. It's the same version of ours, with the exception the Canadians generally had a little bit more thrust in the aircraft they built in their country under license than we did. So when a civilian tries to get a hold of a T-33, like the 3 in front of you here, the Canadian model will be damaged because of more thrust, thereby more performance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while we're in a point of time I can read this, I'd like to introduce today members of the 603rd Aircraft Control and Warning Squadron. They're having a reunion. They've been served in Germany together during the Cold War in the 1980s. Our Warbirds salute them as they fly over today, and we welcome the 603rd Aircraft Control and Warning Group. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to do this too while we're in time. The service when you hear the particular song we're going to play. We would encourage that. And as applause for all the men and women who have served and all those who are serving now. And we thank you for your attention. Filling up the sky out in front of us are the little aircraft they call the grasshoppers. They were generally, but not exclusively, civilian aircraft that during World War II and Korea and the Vietnam War were pressed into service. Now, while they didn't have a tremendous amount of power, they were not fighters. In some cases, it was a military version of a Piper Cub, a mere 65 horsepower engine. Airplanes that cruised about 70 miles per hour. And you say, well, what good is that airplane? I'm going to tell you, in the overall picture, it worked out great. And I want to read you this about those types of aircraft and the fighters. Please listen. Back in 1942, President Roosevelt announced that America would soon produce 50,000 combat planes a year. Few people believed it, and even Right Marshal Herman Goring publicly scoffed at Roosevelt's prediction. Yet in 1944, over 80,000 combat planes rolled off the assembly lines and headed for German and Japanese targets, and production was still accelerating. President Roosevelt's unbelievable prediction had been exceeded by 50%. Within a year of Pearl Harbor, the United States, here, he finally said, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And he was effective, and he may have predicted the forerunner of the aircraft we call the A-10 Thunderbolt II, the tank buster aircraft. These little single-engine aircraft were the eyes and ears of an artillery officer. They were medical airlift, close air support. They would lift out the critically wounded. They were photo recon. They would ferry our saboteurs and our spies deep into enemy territory. They would in fact drive the blast out to the battlefield. And General MacArthur has been photographed in the back of those L-4s, along with Eleanor Roosevelt. So, what better way for a battlefield artillery commander to know where to lob those shells than to be able to see the enemy from the air? As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. The biplanes that were out there were the basic training that would train 186,000 flight crew members. Because in World War I, we learned a tremendous lesson. You need to train your pilots. The average life of a World War I combat dogfight pilot was 3 weeks. That had to change. And through training, very intensive training, and before sending anybody into harm's way, they would have approximately 168 hours of very intense training in the combat role, the transport role, or the bomber role that they were to fill in World War II, and we got a lot of our people back. Now, World War II wasn't exclusive to these little pea shooters in the sky. They went on to fly in Korea and in Vietnam as well. All right, now direct your attention straight ahead at 2 different altitudes. Our T6 formation bearing down on us, and they will be covered over the top of them by the T-28s by no less than 500 feet. Smoke is on as they come over in their twin formations, the 2 training aircraft. One was ready for World War II, first coming out in 1938 and celebrating its 70th anniversary, the T-6, and then the one that came out in late 1949 and was ready for 1950, the awesome T-28. Both of the aircraft came off the assembly line of the North American Aviation Company, the same company that would build the awesome T-51 Mustang. So we got the L&O birds circling around. We got the crossover from the T-6s.
Wow.
All right, the T-6s are lowest to us. How about this for Canon camera action? Get this in your eyes and get this in your film. These were the planes that helped win the war. The bomber's taking off going to your left. 25 miles. designation, you'd be right in both cases. Early in its life, it was the A-26 because the B-26 was the Art Marauder. This is the Douglas Invader. As it comes by, we'll tell you more about that airplane. Now, the little airplane's out in front of you. We'll take that right into Korea. There was a L-17 pilot. The L-17 was the military version of the Ryan Navia. It was used to carry the brass around from base to base. It's like an executive transport. Lieutenant Plummer in the Korean War had pretty good duties because he was told, you're going to take this person and travel around to different bases. She's going to entertain the troops. It was Marilyn Monroe. Say what you will about her. In 4 days, she did no less than 10 performances for our troops. And that was good news. That was the funny thing. Nobody was shooting at you, and you had pretty good attack. All right, in addition to that, we've got a Howard out here, 1944 Howard. And that was, of course, one of the latest type of aircraft that went into production. And Howard was, in fact, the personal transport back in 1944 of a naval admiral. That's how he got from A to B. So we also have, from the Korean era, the L-60. Silver L-16 out there also has a great story. Oh, the reenactors are coming down the line out in front of us. Okay, Jim Sanza. All right, now we got the reenactors in our military vehicle. We got high cover coming up from your left. Those are the B-51s on the takeoff roll. The bomber aircraft. Now we're going to send up the fighters. The dog fighter. The Top Gun aircraft of World War II. There was a downed Allied pilot who was being surrounded by the enemy. Without using an airstrip, but a feet up on the field, he landed. He held 300 yards from the downed pilot. He left the engine running, and despite heavy gunfire, he ran to the stricken pilot. He picked him up, put him over his shoulder. Got him back in the airplane, he got him back to a field hospital, and now he has produced aircraft in World War II, used by the Navy, used by the Army Air Force. Now the transport airplanes. These are the Beechcraft aircraft in civilian version. C-45 it was called. And it hauled troops, it hauled the military craft, it took cargo, it took messages. And in another version of this aircraft by the Beech Company, they would put in a clear plexiglass nose. That's how they trained the bombardiers of World War II for the actual bombers. And about, I remember about 80% of the bombardiers were trained in aircraft like that. Had a very long production run, and in the civilian version, they were in fact the Learjet of their day. They are still being used today in the civilian world. They still make money for their owners, and yes, they love the product of Walter Beech. These are just a part of the 300,000 airplanes that we talked about. They're put together by the gals. You remember the photos of Rosie the Riveter. She was an actual person. Her name was Rose Will Monroe. She was donned in a babushka work shirt. She flexed her muscle for the campaign poster, the war poster, and on the bottom it said, "We can do it." She worked for Henry Ford in Ypsilanti Township at a defense factory. All right, the T-28s, that is the breaking growling trainer for the giant Wright engine, producing 1,425 horsepower in perfect formation, high overhead in the blue sky from your right to your left. That aircraft used by the newly ordained United States Air Force, which became on its own in September of 1947. It was ready for them. But a high power person was certified for training on shipboard landing. All right, now our transport system is also a big part of the direction of the because there was a amount of places where they had a war with life. Using the right tactics like the Flying Tigers did, they scored a tremendous amount of kills on the enemy while losing only about 9 aircraft of their own. Why? Because of the training and tactics. Talk to them by General Blair, you know, if you never did a book about the Flying Tigers. Coming out of Inglewood, California, it was built at the request of the British Purchasing Agency, who wanted more Spitfires for their defense of their skies over their homeland. The answer from Dutch Gilbert was they requested to build them in plateau. Into the air. He started, and the airplane came off the assembly line only 117 days later. It must be quite a feat, as reporters would have to know how you do it and then go. Because then, produced the highest number of pieces of any single aircraft in the war. All right, the T-6 is again in great formation. Get this camera shot right over the top of us. Folks, these are civilians. In wartime. 24. He's Scott Yoke. They called him Scooter. And he's going to do a light aerobatic mission for you. This probably be set around 2,300 RPM and about 37 inches of manifold pressure. And that aileron blade will consume about 1 triangle force of gravity. These aircraft, the one that's featured in front of you now, by this recent graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University at the campus down in Daytona Beach, is a great example of what can happen to you if you get an education. Maybe you too, and at graduation, can have a P-51 and flying at Oshkosh, showing you the acro capability of the aircraft. The aircraft in front of you was built to the tune of 15,985 made the record book. If you were there, you get a different number, the different book. And you know the source of the difference was made. I say this, you are right. You got these aircraft in history books, you got 5 books, you got 5 different numbers. This is one that some people agree with. Also, some people say that the airplane in front of you being flown solo by Scott Yoke was the best all-around airline fighter of World War II. Some say that. That would be totally up to the people who flew them. Okay, smoke is on, coming up from your left. And then down low, in comes Scooter. Now listen to the sound of the T-51. Cadillac in the sky. All right, T-28 smoking directly overhead from left to right as the choreographed routine that has been rehearsed so many times is coming off beautifully. All right, executing now the Navy-style victory roll, which changes a victory roll into a 90-degree turn. As Scooter comes back in from your right, we'll be getting a series of point goals as the transports come in high over Scooter, over the top of us. That's the twin-engine aircraft. There's the 4-point roll by Scooter. We should call that the 8-point roll. Farms and villages from the Midwest out to the prairie, out to the mountain states to California. Some would fly one mission and never return. Was there a lot of bravado? No. Okay, the enemy is now under fire. T-40 with his shark's tooth on the nose. By the way, that was thought to be a device used by General Personnel to intimidate the Japanese, used by the Flying Tigers. I guess that was kind of a myth when you read this thing. Purely a myth, and the sharks were put on there because they fit and they look good. All right, our key actors, two statements. They are now on the side looking better than new. People say, how can we do better than new? Well, that's the restoration process of these former World War II combat airplanes. Goes well above and beyond how they come off the production line. They didn't have to be pretty, they only had to be practical. Now, they are restored to mint condition. Chrome components that you can see yourself in chromium area. And in addition to that, the new style state-of-the-art paint. All right, now, direction is shifted to the left. As we continue our cover of the transport as they land. By the fighter aircraft, look high and to your right. T-6 will be coming in for a very artistic break to the landing. This in itself is skill on the parts of the pilot. Look at the T-6s high overhead. Now watch and count between the brakes. Here we go, 1,000, 2,000, they will come up on the airplane in front of them. There is a reason for that. If they match the speed, which they will get the maximum number of aircraft into the field. This way, the field, this airline airport, is surrounded by hostile enemies. With the other aircraft now, they stay intact. By pulling the bar back and putting a T-load on the airplane, can't be activated. All right, we'll be in action, sir. Hitting the deck, possibly the last airplane used in break of combat pilot and U.S. dogfight with the high from your right to your left, over the top of us as we continue to land. The T-6 is in front of us. Now look at the rate at which the T-6s are coming in. This is the aircraft. Airplanes everywhere. Look at this guy. As the Grumman fighters come into view, the fighters technology into their fighter aircraft. It's built some very, very rugged fighters. They were known to be able to take a beating, to be shot up, but to get the pilot back home. Two different fighters. of the round radial engine and nose wheel. In fact, to get that triple airplane back home, we can take the meaning of skill and damage and still put it together and now break up in flight. Beautiful job of the T6 is coming in. You can see that they're landing along. Themselves to land very long. You'll see them keep the tail up on landing deliberately. Now, look at that tail down. Once the tail goes up and down, except on the left and right side of the aircraft. So it's hard to see what's in front of you. And again, the tail wheel is not exclusive, but very dominant as the way that tail wheel was going to go into oblivion, and for a lot of different reasons, including the advantage in a crosswind and visibility on the ground. The tail wheel will move on to coming over. A great job overhead for a lady that is 70 years old this year, and for the pilots who fly her. I want a big round of applause for the continuing landing of the T6 crew. The Navy called it the Airventure. This was a stuff. F was the training designation. N was Navy, and J was nothing. Silky aircraft. Before it was called North American Aviation, it was called the Ferguson Choice Company. That's where the name came from. It was called the Harvard. Canada and other countries as well. There were variants made that looked somewhat like a T6, called Yale and the Workaway and others. As possible, so whatever engine you could get, they would match it to an airframe. Okay. Yeah.
Look at it load up that 50 cal.
All right, reenactors in the ground, aircraft landing, aircraft repositioning, and we are going to break just a moment here and change the format. The horsemen will be taking to the air with their T-28s and a full acro routine, and that will be provided by Lisa Heidegger. Yep, Lisa's here. All right, so we'll get the last of the aircraft on the ground. Now we got a lot of pyro. We've got a lot of gasoline and dynamite. We've got a lot of flights left, so please don't leave until the ground changes for the last time.
On your left, the 4 ship stands clear. Families here in the audience today. How about mom and dad down here that have sons and daughters serving on Iraq or next ship? T-28 Warbirds formation demo team flying in the world today. Our 15-member team consists of former military fighter pilots, instructor, airline pilots, experienced air show performers with over 200 years of combined experience. while he was recovering back in the States in a hospital 700 miles from home without the support of his family, he recognized the need for a service such as the Veterans Airlift Command. He put that into work when he created this. We now ask that you join on our way and help us bring these families together. We've accomplished over 100 missions, and we're always looking for additional pilots and aircraft along with people which you donate to our cause. If you stop by the Veterans Airlift Command trailer, it's located next to the Warbirds Cafe in the Warbird area, we'll be happy to help you, tell you how you can help these families. Ladies and gentlemen, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Trojan Horsemen, I want to thank EAA Airventure, Warbirds of America, and all of you great folks here for letting us entertain you today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Trojan Horsemen.
Thank you. Big round of applause for these million people that are being cared for by that great organization tonight, appropriately enough, at the Theater in the Woods. Gary Sinise, who is the spokesman for the Disabled American Veteran, will be playing in his Lieutenant Dan band. Now, you might remember he played Lieutenant Dan in the 1988 release Forrest Gump. He'll be live and in person and free tonight, courtesy of the Disabled American Veterans, right here over that factory on the other side of the runway. That is our rivals, the T-28s. And that is the T-28s will be holding. And the jets will be coming in, and the last piece of Earth, they will be landing down to our right, rolling out from our right to our left. Three bombers that will be setting off the wall of fire. We told you are two B-25s. The other one is the pride and joy of the Detroit-based Yankee Air Force, part of the great collection of aircraft that are very active on the air show circuit, restored to like new conditions, and keeping the aircraft of World War II flying. And then the third bomber will be the A-26, or be grounded or took out of inventory the Martin Marauder, the A of the Intruder, built by Douglas, then became a B. It gets kind of confusing, but it doesn't matter anyway. It is, in fact, the 26. The fastest bomber of any of the World War II bombers due to its great design and two giant engines, R-28. Painted up in blue colors because it is the airplane, it is the jet of choice of the United States Navy Blue Angels flight demonstration team. Okay, please don't leave us once again because we not only have the wall of fire that will be set off by our 3 bombers, but also we will be doing the missing man formation, courtesy of 4 of the Trojan horsemen that are remaining in the holy pattern up in the sky. And again, this year, we'll be doing that live and in person, that being TAPS, and it will be performed in this, the 27th year, for our County Commissioner, Joe Mayo. 27 years of TAPS Live. Thank you, Joe. And in addition to that, as we heard the other day, Joe has his granddaughter with him. She is Brittany Mayo. She's from nearby Neenah. She is in full Navy uniform. She is a first-class midshipman at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And she started out here at age 8 as one of the first young Eagles. She'll be playing, and she has been here before. You're going to love her. She looks great. You'll see her live in person. But this will be the way we close out the Warbirds section this afternoon. So it will be dramatic. It will be great. It will be filling up the sky. And if you look on the other side of the runway, you can see the holy pattern out there. Aircraft ready to come in. Now, here's how you try again all of the flames and smoke from Rich's wall of fire. Rich, as he gets them from Rockford, Illinois, do this each and every weekend at air shows. How would you like to have a job where they say, go to an airport and set off gasoline and dynamite and we'll pay you? Well, most air shows. We're all volunteers here. They've got a crew out there that travels around the country up into the Canadian provinces, and they have been record setters, as verified by the Guinness Book of Records as the largest wall of fire ever in the history. Okay, the bombers are inbound, the cameras are ready. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you see the area where the Dougie's yellow DC-3 is, to the left of Dougie as we face the runway, to the right of Dougie as we face the runway, that will be about the center line of Rich's Pyro. It will proceed on the other side of the runway to the left of Dougie and to the right of Dougie. If you want to capture it best, aim your camera so that you can, on the bottom of your lens or in the picture, the minimum amount of pavement or grass, because the flames will shoot up. It will be the wall of fire on the second pass we have just heard, so they'll be going around once again.
כן, יש פה רעש. לא יודע, אתם לא אוכלת ערב וזהו. כן, יש סרט. יהיה פה עכשיו רעש, דנית, ישים פה כל מיני פירוטכניקה. בואו נדבר אחר כך.
All right, bomb bay doors are open on the Doolittle Laser U-25. Built for the Royal Air Force. A little over 800 were given to Russians for work. The Russians were working at Eastern Front. There was a secret mission going on. That they could take a fully inflated bomber off the deck of the aircraft carrier. Secret work was done in northern Florida, and it didn't have a lot of initial success, but they did make it work, and then they moved the airplanes to the West Coast. They hoisted them above the deck of the USS Hornet, and they steamed their way to Japan. They were, in fact, spotted by a Japanese fishing vessel that they were sure had radio equipment to radio back home. The decision to go early was made, meaning that there was a possibility of running out of fuel and crash landing the aircraft. This will be the wall of thunder and the bigger bomber, the one lower to your right that's level out. Yankee Air Force and Conchito. Yes, feel the heat. How about a big round of applause for Rich and Brendan with the wow. Twin B-25 we talked to you about. The date was April 18th, 1942. Jimmy Doolittle and his Raiders changed the course of World War II. Jack the Doolittle's not yet. It did minimal damage and crash landed his airplane. He thought he would be
So was it worth the hanging out?
Sorry?
Was it worth hanging out here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the Japanese, the enemy, had to change their tactics, their battleship tactics in the Pacific, and that, for them, was the beginning of the end. So, in fact, Doolittle's raid in April was a tremendous success. Folks, to honor our veterans and those who have gone before us, Missing Man is coming up. We ask you, just bear with us a couple of more minutes for this patriotic conclusion. 120 seconds out. All right, we have Brittany Mail and Joe Mail in position. Our microphones are in position. Please direct your attention out to the other side of the runway as we get ready to play Echo Tax. If you would, could I have your silence? Would you mind taking your hands off, please?
Right at us. Mark, right at us. Right at us.